Hey guys, Dazzler Magic here, and I'm finally back with some spoilers, and this is going to go back to about, yesterday. And then Tuesday's spoilers will be in the next video. I'm going to try and crank both out tonight, but I already fell asleep in my chair trying. It's been, one hell of a weekend. I was traveling for hours, we had a hotel stay, I didn't get very much sleep, then today was a circus, and just generally some crazy stuff went down this weekend, and I'm not even going to start with the story because you guys wouldn't even believe me. So, but first, just a little reminder that we've got another code coming out of Wizards. I think today or yesterday. It's Scale Up, and if you missed the other one, Parcel Mirror. So I got those up on the screen, so you got the spelling. They both give you some pretty good rewards for absolutely nothing. People keep asking how to put it in on iOS. What you do is you get a different platform and then play Arena on that instead. Pretty simple instructions. So don't forget, and I'll remind you at the end of the video too. Let's just jump into Volder and Ambusher. Oh boy. So it's a 2/2 for 3 red vampire archer, and when it enters the battlefield, if an opponent lost life this turn, it deals X damage to up to one target creature or planeswalker, where X is the number of vampires you control. This is so weird because, you know, the next set is going to be heavy on black-red because that's who the vampires are, but maybe they're going to go with, like, oh, the white-green vampires were invited too. They're from the other side of the family. I don't know, but anything you might build now that's competent, just remember it might get an upgrade, and anything that looks borderline right now might get insane with the next release. This just may be one of them. I mean, it's not like the next set's not going to have vampires in it. Next up, we got Liesa, Forgotten Archangel. What a funny coincidence, because I don't remember what happened to her in the storyline. But anyway, she's currently a black-white angel with single black, double white, +2, 5 total CMC, 4/5 flying lifelink angel, so we're already off to the races here. And whenever another non-token creature that you control dies, return that card to the owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. That's kind of insane, considering the Valkyrie card has the whole, oh, whenever an angel you control dies, they have to sack a creature too. But then also, yes, the death trigger goes off, but as a delayed effect trigger, boom, right back from the graveyard to your hands. So this is kind of bonkers. But the all-angel or angel black-white cleric mix deck is so much slower than mono-white angel life gain. But my gosh, like that Valkyrie card is insane. So then you add this on top of it, watch out. But wait, there's more. If a creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead, so no graveyard for you. And no death trigger for you because that is a replacement effect. So this thing is completely insane on the power level. Next up, we got the 3-cost green-white Dawnhort Wardens. It's a 3/3 with Vigilance Human Warlock. And of course, it has Coven, so at the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. So, pretty powerful if you can pull it off, but this whole Coven thing just looks like it's either going to be, you know, the most easy to accidentally or semi-purposely stumble upon, or, oh look, I kind of got that to work for a turn, oh look, they blew up one of my creatures. It would be a bit of an understatement to say that you can't keep every creature you want in play right now in the 2022 format. There is a lot of creature removal, so I just don't see Coven happening, but you never know. I mean, some crappy little +1 equip for 1 equipment or whatever floating around could pull it off, so who knows. So next up we got a 1 black, 1 green sorcery called Ghoul Caller's Harvest. You can create X 2/2 black zombie creature tokens with Decayed, where X is half the number of creature cards in your graveyard rounded up. And then it has Flashback 5, so pretty powerful if you have Self-Mill, but there's not a whole lot of that right now. But that's the second card to benefit heavily from Self-Mill, so you gotta wonder. Next up, we got a card that you definitely don't want to overlook, even though it's a common 1-cost red enchantment aura. You enchant any creature, and then it gets +2/-2, so you can basically remove any creature that is under 2 toughness, because you can put this on the opponent's creature, or you can jack up one of your creatures, like one of the double strikers. So this put into a red-white equipment deck, or like a first strike, you know, flying trample vigilance, like mechanic type of thing, boy, you will really do some damage. The problem is it's not equipment, you can't move it around, it's a one and done, so we'll see if anybody ends up playing it. Next up, we've got Purifying Dragon, spraying the Lysol there on everybody to help prevent COVID. And yeah, we totally needed another giant dragon in the meta, but luckily this is a 4/3 for 5 double red with flying and no haste. However, whenever it attacks, it deals 1 damage to target creature defending player controls. If it's a zombie, it does 2 instead. To me, that seems painfully weak for 5, but if you were to draft this and the other person's playing only this set, yeah, you might be able to get some mileage out of that. It's still really not that good. Next up, we got Corpse Cobble. It's a 2-cost, 1 blue, 1 black instant. And as an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice any number of creatures, which could be 0, but you create an XX blue and black zombie creature token with Menace. Ooh, there we go, where X is the total power of the sacrificed creatures. Oh, wow, you could get that real big real quick, but you're kind of putting all your eggs in one basket. But I mean, Menace, you never know. And then this does have Flashback 5. As if you have any creatures left, but I guess if they target it, you could do flashback. It could be the only creature left in play, and you'll sack it and then create virtually an identical copy of it. That's not bad for instant speed. I think 5 is pretty appropriate, so this could be a really good card. Next up, Defend the Celestis, which I thought was the name of that next set coming out in 2022, but no. Well, after Kamigawa, I think that's actually like Celesta is what it was originally called during marketing, and then they changed the name, just like Ixalan used to be Atlazan. But no, I believe Celesta is that colorless thing that changes the day to night. So I think they built it in response to Emrakul making the moon come out more often, or making, I don't know. I mean, you guys know how planets in motion and orbits work. Assuming a plane is a planet, which I'm not sure they've ever actually confirmed for sure. It's kind of interesting to see what's happening, but then there's some kind of key and Teferi's involved, and I don't know, I'm definitely getting into the story. Whether or not I actually cover it in the video is a different thing, but it's interesting with what we know so far. But anyway, this is another little werewolf boost card here. At least it's not too low CMC, because the werewolf deck looks pretty blitzy already and pretty darn powerful. Also, it is double green plus 2 generic, so 4 total CMC for a uncommon instant, and it just says, distribute 3 1/1 counters among 1, 2, or 3 target creatures you control. We've had cards like this before and they didn't really take off, because it is instant speed, and you could drop them all onto one creature if you want. And it's like a +3 boost that doesn't go away. I mean, how can you undervalue that? So I think it's pretty good, but I don't know. 4 CMC usually scares people away for a boost spell. By the way, the flavor text is interesting. So it says, which werewolf and Cathar stood shoulder to shoulder around the sun gold lock at the center of the ritual, ready to stop Tovalar's assault or die trying? So maybe the werewolves use this thing to screw with the day-night cycle or something, and it speeds up and slows down the planet's rotation or orbit, or I guess it would be rotation. When you start changing the rotation speed, it's like, you know, the old joke, what would happen if the Earth stopped spinning? Well, everybody would fly at, like, I don't know, 800 miles an hour that way or whatever. I have a feeling the physics of this set are going to be a little bit questionable, but we'll see. Who knows? So next up, we got an interesting looking card here. It's a single green instant called Turn the Earth, and it says choose up to 3 target cards in graveyards. So yours, theirs, mixed, whatever. And then the owners of those cards shuffle them back into their libraries, and then you gain 2 life. Flashback 2. I've never understood why people bothered to do this, except for in unbelievably dragged out obnoxious blue cards. Or blue decks, I should say. It usually was a blue recycler card, but I thought, well, okay, maybe you cast this and you have 40 cards left in your library. Well, now it's, 41, 42, or 43, and you've got a 1 of or a 2 of, maybe a 3 of, but I doubt it, put back in your deck. Well, what the hell are the odds you're ever going to see that card again in the entire game? The probability of this card ever being beneficial is like 0, but if you could tutor right to it, or you've got like a super just scry, get stuff out of the way deck, you could, and that's how people used to use it. So I personally don't care for that archetype, obviously. It's control heavy trash, and whatever I put in the graveyard, I want to keep it there. So this is just more evidence that graveyard clearing is going to be incredibly important. That, and of course, death replacement affects that exile. So it might get a little annoying there, but they might keep it kind of tame. We'll see. Next up, we got Augur of Autumn. It's a creature, human druid, in the rare slot. 3 CMC, 2 of it being green, of course. And it's a 2/3, and then it says you may look at the top card of your library at any time. You, of course, then don't have to show it to your opponent. And then you may play lands from the top of your library. Remember, there's already a card that says you may pay creatures from the top of your library. And there's also one that says you can play cards in general from the top of your opponent's library. So, boy, I'd love to see those in a deck together. Wouldn't that be fun? You gotta watch out for that unlimited card draw, but in theory, 1/3 of your deck max should be lands. So, I mean, how much benefit can you get? But like I said, you start pairing this with other stuff, watch out. Hey, speaking of exactly what I just said, it also has Coven. As long as you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, you may cast creature spells from the top of your library as well. So, incredibly powerful card in green right here. Next up, we've got Patrician Geist. He signed up for my Patreon, and you haven't, and he's dead. What's your excuse? Just kidding. I actually don't remember if Patrician and patron are basically the same word, but anyway, it's a 3-cost 2/2 with flying, Spirit Knight, and other spirits you control get +1/+1. Who didn't see that coming? Oh, look, they forgot to make it legendary. I'm shocked. And then spells you cast from your graveyard cost 1 less to cast, which is, of course, a booster for Disturb, which usually means that they completely overlooked everything else from every other set that you could cast with this and probably completely and utterly broke everything. Wait, does Alrun's Epiphany exile itself? You know what? I don't even want to know, and I'm not going to check. What a great blue card. Oh boy. So next up we've got Covetous Castaway. It's a 2-cost 1/3 human, and when it dies, mill 3 cards, and then disturb 5. When you cast it from the graveyard, when it enters the battlefield, it's a 3/4 spirit, and you may shuffle up to 3 target cards from your graveyard into your library, which is kind of the opposite of what you just did. And then if Ghostly Castigator, would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. So, more spell recycling. I'm sure they meant this to go in just a Disturb deck, but I don't think that'll be the case. Next up, Hedgewitch's Mask. What the heck is that? It looks like they tried to build a football helmet and then, dropped it. So it's actually a 1-cost white equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 with equip 2, but equipped creature can't be blocked with creatures power 4 or greater. So I hate the whole can't be blocked by creatures 2 or smaller. That is incredibly annoying. But this is almost worse if you put it on a gigantic creature. Because, even if they have something big enough, you're forcing them to chump block or to multi-block. So, geez, for 1, this could be really, really good. Next up, we got Ritual Guardian. It's a 3-cost 3/2 human soldier with Coven. Of course, if you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, it gains lifelink until end of turn. For 3, only being a 3/2, it probably should have had it the whole time. So this is just Coven filler garbage for maybe a draft, maybe. Next up, we've got Sun Gold Barrage. Once again, what is that Sun Gold lock or whatever? And probably has something to do with that blue key thing that they're purposely blocking the flavor text on. And I guess the bad werewolves are attacking maybe the good werewolves? Or they're trying to keep people out of the thing that controls the day-night cycle? I don't know, follow the story and find out. But this is a 3-cost instant that destroys a creature with toughness 4 or greater. Pretty much the definition of a card that's only good maybe in draft or sealed. Next up we got Candle Grove, which unsurprisingly has Coven, but it's a 2/2 for 2 human warlock, and at the beginning of combat, you guys know how it works. 3 or more creatures with different powers, it gains flying until end of turn. So once again, not that great. And then we've got Celestis Sanctifier, a 3-cost 3/2, and if it's neither day nor night, it becomes day as it enters battlefield. Always nice. Gotta give those werewolves a sunburn. Then whenever day becomes night or night becomes day, I still think they could have phrased that with a lot less words. Look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one of them into your graveyard. So it's not quite Investigate 2, but it kind of is. But you don't get the clue, and it's only 3 attack power for 3, and it's a common, so I don't know how good this will be. Even in a white-black clerics deck, I don't think this is very good. Next up, oh, here we go. It's a low-cost black zombie mythic. So it's a 2-cost 2/3 with Death Touch, so already really good. And that looks like a lot of words, so let's jump into it. When Tainted Adversary enters the battlefield, you may pay 3 any number of times, so a single black 2 generic, and then whenever you pay this cost 1 or more times, put that many +1/+1 counters on Tainted Adversary, then create twice that many 2/2 black zombie creature tokens with Decayed. So, okay, it's basically Kicker. It's actually, I think, by exact definition, multi-Kicker. They just, didn't feel like saying that, but you're already paying 2, and then you might pay 3 more on top of it for 5. What are the odds you have 8, and what are the odds you want to waste that much mana on just a couple more zombies? Well, yeah, they have Decayed, but in an all-zombies deck with, ETB triggers, death triggers, count triggers, all that stuff, you, for all intents and purposes, make X equals 2, pretty much. You get 4 extra zombies out of that. So, that's not terrible, but it's really not great, especially for a Mythic. But hey, I'll take it over an overpowered card all day, and we needed more Black Death Touchers in the game. Especially ones that cost less than 3. Next up, we've got Burly Breaker. I can't believe they had the balls to name it that. Keep away from Chandra. She apparently likes, quote, burly men, if I recall. I think that's the exact wording that Wizards wished didn't exist. Gotta love that revisionist history. But anyway, it's a 6/5 for 5 human werewolf with Ward 1. Nice. And it's Daybound. But on the backside, it becomes a monstrous 8/7 with Ward 3, holy crap, and Nightbound. So this is just an upper end big-ass burly boy. Next up, there's Covert Cut Purse. It's a 3-cost 2/1. And when it enters the battlefield, destroy target creature you don't control that was dealt damage this turn. Not one of the historically most popular effects, but when you get it to go off, it's pretty good. And then it has Disturb 5. If you bring it back, it becomes Covetous Geist. And it's 2/2 Flying Death Touch, which is really nice. And if Covetous Geist would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, exile it. So just simply a 2/2 flying version of the human, but in Spirit Rogue form, and honestly, that Disturb cost of 5 is a little much. If you have to stop a dragon and kill it in midair, which probably already has haste and possibly trample, you're going to need to do it quicker than 5 mana in most cases. Next up, we got a Nebelgast Intruder, a 3-cost 2/1 spirit, and it has flash and flying, and when it enters the battlefield, up to 1 target creature an opponent controls gains -2 attack until end of turn. That really doesn't fit with it being a 2/1 if you're going to ambush someone, but I think the whole point is you're screwing with someone else's, or some other creature of yours' blocking assignments and like making, 1 survive and then theirs die. And then after that, you got a flyer that does 2 damage in the air, so, not too bad. Next up, we've got Mysterious Tome. Ooh, here we go. I'm going right to the flavor text because your boy want to know what's happening. So the villagers poured through the old storybook, hoping that one of the tales within might hold some clue to saving the fading sun. Well, obviously, the only hope they have is 1, Space Jace, and 2, the Westvale Space Program, where they can go steal the moon cheese from Emrakul, and I mean, the lore just writes itself. It's pretty obvious what's going to happen already. So anyway, this is a 3-cost blue artifact. You pay 2, tap it, draw a card, and then transform it. And on the back, it's Chilling Chronicle. Oh boy, I'm sure it was a very hopeful story full of ways to solve your problem. So if you pay 1 then and tap it, tap target non-land permanent, and then flip it right back over. So 2 very useful, very commonly, good effects, but if you can't control which side it is, you're going to have trouble. But I mean, it's 1 in tap to flip it, and then 2 in tap to flip it. Pretty easy to control, so I can see this being a pretty good card, actually. I like recurring card draw that isn't free and isn't reliable every single turn. Although, well, I mean, you could pay to flip it a whole bunch of times, actually, I guess, in the same turn if you had enough mana. Next up, we've got Grafted Identity. That's creepy. It's a 4-cost enchantment aura rare, double blue, oh boy. And as an additional cost to cast a spell, sack a creature, and then enchant creature. You control enchanted creature gets +1/+1. Okay, this is what Mark was talking about a permanent stealing card for 4. At least it's undoable if they can destroy the aura, but holy crap, it's only 4, and holy crap, it boosts the creature. This is an insanely good card, and I'm going to run it in something. Hell, I think you already know which deck I'm going to put it in. The one where I steal my opponent's crap. Well, it doesn't steal more than 1, and it is undoable, so I've seen more egregious versions of this. Next up, we got Moonveil Regent. It's a Mythic Red Dragon. Hello, 4-cost 4/4 with flying. Nice. Once again, I don't think that the Dragon Treasure deck needed more fuel, but this doesn't have haste, so it already looks bad, but let's see what it does. Whenever you cast a spell, you may discard your entire hand. If you do, draw a card for each of that spell's colors. Okay, this Tiamat Dragon tribal card is late to the game a little bit, but okay. If your hand was empty, it could be mono red. I mean, I'm not saying this only goes in multi, but boy, would it be good in multi. Then whenever Moonveil Regent dies, it deals X damage to any target, where X is the number of colors among permanents you control. Well, this is an automatic include for 5-color dragons in Commander. I obviously don't even need to mention that, it's so obvious. But I did for the benefit of anyone who hasn't seen that deck. But in Standard, I mean, this is just good. I don't think with only 5 sets being legal post-rotation, you're going to pull off 5-color very easily, but I've seen people do it with 4 sets legal on Arena. It's just, not the most consistent thing in the world. But we do have the late lands helping out, so I never know. Maybe this will become the best creature ever. Next up, we've got Chaplain of Alms. It's a 1-cost 1/1 human cleric with first strike. Nice, I always love that. Ward 1. Okay, who would want to blow this up? But if somebody wastes a removal spell on this, it's Disturb 4, and then on the back it's Chapel Shieldgeist. So on the Ghosty Boy side, it's a flying first strike 2/1, which is pretty good. And then each creature you control has Ward 1. Dang, that's good. And then if it would be put in the graveyard from anywhere, exile it, because they don't want you just bringing it back over and over and over, because that would be broken, despite the fact that they've done that over and over and over on a bunch of broken cards in the past. I'd say they learned their lesson, but let's just chalk this up to coincidence, because it's Wizards. So next up, we've got another Mythic. Here we go, Spectral Adversary. So this is a 2/1 spirit with flash and flying, and when it enters the battlefield, you may pay 2 any number of times. Oh, so this is... They said that there was a mythic rarity full 5 cycle of something, and this is the second one, I do believe. So, you know, multi-kicker 2 pretty much. Then put that many 1/1 counters on Spectral Adversary, then up to that many other target artifacts, creatures, or enchantments phase out. What is it, Teferi in a really convincing ghost outfit? So, okay, I believe they return at the end of turn? I mean, they ran out of words on the card, so you just have to look up how phasing works. I love it when they do that. And yet they couldn't save words by calling this multi-kicker. Come on, guys. Well, I mean, it is Flash. You could save a bunch of your stuff and then bring out this big boy, I guess. I mean, you know, you could probably reasonably cast this for 6, maybe 8, and get a pretty good effect out of it. Ambush something, kill it, and get a phase-out effect, save from a board wipe. I mean, to save even one single thing, you're going to need to pay an additional 2 for 4 total. I'd rather just have a counterspell. And then you're getting a pay 2, get 1 benefit out of a flyer. So, you pay an extra 4, you can make it hit for 4 in the air for 6 total mana. I mean, this just isn't that good of a card. Now, you could block something that doesn't have trample and then bring this in, phase out whatever would have died, and then, get it back at the end of turn or whatever. When you got to stretch it that hard, it just isn't a good card. So next up, we got Loyal Griff. It's a 3-cost 2/2 Hippogriff. And it has flash and flying, and then when it enters the battlefield, you may return another creature you control to its owner's hand, so another saver spell, except this one's in white. Next up, we got Briarbridge Tracker, a 3-cost 2/3 human scout with vigilance, nice, and when it enters the battlefield, investigate, also nice. And then as long as you control a token, it gets +2/+0. Kind of weird, but yeah, I guess you probably would, generally, in the average deck. Anybody feel like this is going to throw off Coven? Next up, we got a vampire card in this set, for some reason. And it's a 2-cost sorcery. Create a 3/1 black and red vampire creature token with trample, lifelink, and haste. Okay, that's crazy. But sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step, so you have to use it eventually. Immediately. The opposite of that. And then it has flashback 3. This is pretty good. I mean, like, you're already playing probably a treasure deck in these colors. And then you get a 3/1 trampling lifelinker, but it's not flying. Still, I mean, you do this twice, you're gonna, crash into something and get, 6 life, so this is pretty good. Next up, Sunset Revelry. Well, instead of partying, maybe you should do something about the sun coming down, you stupid humans. So it's a 2-cost white sorcery. If an opponent has more life than you, you gain 4 life. Pretty good for 2, even at sorcery speed. Then, if an opponent controls more creatures than you, create 2 1/1 white human creature tokens, aka werewolf fodder. And then if an opponent has more cards in hand than you, draw a card. So apparently they're driving off the werewolf assault at night with the power of partying. And I say that because it says Story Spotlight on the bottom, so we have to infer what the heck is going on, and what the heck is going on? I guess some humans are like, yay, let's get drunk and fight werewolves, and throw 1/1s under the bus, and then the other ones are like, we're gonna go investigate and find a key, and find the day-night time machine thing, or whatever. I vote for the blue humans with the spirits and all that. They seem to be doing a better job than these drunken idiots. And the last spoiler from Monday's group is Brief Reprieve. It's a white enchantment 3-cost, and when Brief Reprieve enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent you don't control until Brief Reprieve leaves the battlefield. So basically banishing light, but you can't target your own permanents. I don't really know why you would. So for all intents and purposes, this is the same exact card as Banishing Light, and boy did we get kicked in the balls by losing Banishing Light in the 2022 rotation. So this is one of the most important cards right here. White needed a universal removal for 3 so badly. And by the way, that's Teferi in the background of the card, so there is so much going on right now. Okay, if you guys hired Teferi to help defend your town against werewolves, he's probably going to take your whole area, your whole province, and accidentally phase it out, forget about it for 100 years, and then oopsie it back. Hiring Teferi or allying with him in any way is the stupidest thing you could possibly do. The guy is a walking human disaster zone. His powers of screwing things up to an epic level even extend like outside the lore and into the game itself. He is the 4th wall break of the Magic world. So kinda wish his stupid face wasn't on this card, but your boy's gonna run it. Banish them bitches. So wow, what a great way to leave off on this. So thanks for watching, everybody. Nothing too exciting or spicy, and we saw a bunch of mythics, so I mean, maybe we are going to shrink down to a lower power level, but oh my gosh, if you think I was exaggerating about the complete and utter game-wrecking power of that 5-cost green enchantment that doubles the power of everything every turn, no, even the most get good, play around it, blah, blah, blah. I'm a tier 1 wannabe pro douchebag who thinks nothing's too powerful. I just want a free win card in my free win deck so I can pretend I'm good at Magic. Even those people are like, whoa, they went too far on this card. Everybody, everyone is on Mark Rosewater's ass about this. So like, seriously, that card needs to be banned before it even comes out. It was a mistake. It's going to be a mistake. And it's just it's gonna go from format to format to format, wrecking everything. There's no excuse for it. There's no mathematical balance of it. It is just broken trash. Plain and simple. Worst card in the set. It almost single-handedly ruins the set. And there's a couple others that I saw so far that I'm like, okay, yeah, we don't want that in the game. But I don't know. Today's spoiler is kind of tame. So once again, a reminder and a reason to bring this back up on screen again. Don't forget code SCALEUP and Parcel Mirror to go get a mountain of free stuff. Scale Up is very time sensitive, so get that out immediately. I think you got maybe 8 days on it if I remember correctly. Or actually 7 days. 7 days. Return this VHS to Blockbuster in 7 days or whatever the ring was about. So yeah, get on that and I'll see you guys next time.